What up, dude? Good to see you.
It's Kurt Kurt, my heart to yours.
Yeah, I should have said hi to Kurt before the intro. Dang
No,
it.
F it, we do it live.
We do it live. Wait, what was that, Tom?
I said we do it live. Oh, baby. We here.
Kurt.
We're back.
A steer.
You in
Like
the
we
right
never left.
direction. Welcome to another edition of the Grossi Perna Kurt Show. And this is Tom Grossi, Brandon Perna, Kurt Benkert, GPS. That's right, folks. He's back. He's back again. And I quote, the Minnesota Vikings, they came a-calling. They were like, please, Kurt, can you come join our practice squad? And he's like, sorry, Vikings. Not only do you suck, but I got GPS. Hung up the phone. And it was a rotary phone, too. It was one of the old ones that like makes the little bell like when you slam it down just for dramatic effect. So, welcome
Something
back.
like that.
Kurt Benkert, buddy.
Something like that. Nice to be back, guys. Great to see you.
The Vikings, can you get to a rotary phone to answer this question we have about the practice squad coming in?
Which he did.
Is that true? Did Minnesota call?
Yes.
They did. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. It wasn't exactly like Tom said, but
Right.
It was a cell phone.
It was coming in for a workout. All expectations to sign, be there the rest of the year, but it's been a really long year for the family. And being away from them for Christmas, like money or like family, and I chose family this time.
Wrong answer. But
I mean,
oh man.
Listen, all I'm gonna say is one, it happened exactly the way that I said it, and two, I think that's a little breaking news. Vikings want to cut Kirk Cousins in favor of Kurt Benkert. That's all I heard.
Yeah.
So
wait, yeah. Is Kirk Cousins on the hot seat?
He wasn't, but he is now. We got him. But folks, we have a great show for you today. We'll talk about, of course, last night's game, which I streamed with Kurt Benkert. We also have breaking news in which Mike White not cleared for the Lions game, and Zach Wilson will be getting the start. So the mother effer is back.
I didn't even see that. I didn't even see that.
Yeah, over Flacco. Literally just happened like 10 minutes ago. Yep.
Well, I don't think they were too excited with Flacco's short stint last week.
It was flaccid.
Yeah. See, this is all right. There's been a lot of controversy with Twitter, Elon Musk taking over, right?
What happened?
And somehow I missed this news, and I just go look at my Twitter right now, and what I have trending is Niners Seahawks. Okay, makes sense. Dan Rather, Big Ben, transgender. So somewhere in there, I did not get the Zach Wilson news, as my trending is all over the place. And
you don't have Jets notifications on?
No. I expect Zach Wilson news to be force-fed to me via trending. And Elon needs to be football forward, moving forward with all my news. That's all I'm saying.
Apparently, he's really easy to find. So just like go say hi to him and like just be like, hey, can we talk about football? Like that's.
I know where he is at all times.
Yeah, apparently we always know where Elon Musk is in the world. It's like Carmen San Diego, but much easier. But yeah, we have a lot to talk about. There's also, I kind of want to jump into this because this will kind of cover last night as well. But there's a little
was
controversy.
That a dental flosser in your hand?
Yeah, there is.
Oh hell yeah, I use it too.
Yeah, big floss
love
guy.
Those things.
I do
they're
too.
everywhere.
I have so many of them. Terrible for the environment, but cleans your teeth really well.
So much easier than regular flossing. Regular
it really
flossing
is. It gets sticky. It's just
This is the. I mean, if I can keep my teeth clean long enough to stay alive longer due to good dental health, maybe I can have a positive effect on the environment that these are actually not having.
Whoa.
Oh. You know what? I hear you could just burn plastic now. I heard that that's what you could do.
If I stay alive longer, it definitely won't help the environment.
Guys, I will help it enough for us all.
And that's solely on my bathroom use. So
that's
anyway, that's another day.
It's all right. But yesterday we had the San Francisco 49ers just pulverizing the Seattle Seahawks. Kurt and I were talking about that game. We streamed it together. And there's a little controversy on Packers Twitter right now because of a clip in which one Tyler Herrick, shout out to Tyler, he'll still be starter. In which he clipped this from last night's stream, talking about scheme and players and talking about LaFleur's scheme and Shanahan's and McVay's. And let's just play the clip.
As the Shanahan offense is different than the LaFleur offense by a lot. The
Correct.
Shanahan offense is also different than the McVay offense. The McVay and LaFleur offenses are very similar. Shanahan is still running his own thing. I do think that the other two have been figured out, and they're not schematically foolproof.
Incomplete.
Or as foolproof as people would have thought.
Oh, I'll agree, because that LaFleur McVay offense was supposed to come to Denver with Nathaniel Hackett, and it has not been foolproof. And there's many reasons for that, but okay,
I didn't know that it was going to be
Shanahan's better than LaFleur and McVay combined.
I didn't expect it to get the, arousal too last night, but I think diving into it more, I think people need to understand, just because you come from the same tree and you have the same terminology doesn't mean that you have the same scheme or the same player fit or the same way that you call plays or how you design plays week to week. Your offensive install at the beginning of the year, the words are almost the same, the formations are pretty similar, but how you call plays is totally different, and that really is what the scheme is. Just because you have 800 plays in your playbook and you decide to use 60 of them a week, those 60 for one team may be 60 different than another. Just because you're under the same tree, it doesn't mean that you're running the same stuff. You see how many bubbles and inside zones and gun run inside zones that the Packers run that other teams are trying to run. That's a really good thing if you have really shifty guys on the outside or guys that can make people miss. You can dump off bubbles and get 5 yards. But if you're not doing that, it's going to kill a drive. And so there's nuances that just people glaze right over, and they're like, oh, this tree, they're all no, it's not how it works.
Well, I mean, Kurt, I know you and I talked about this previously too, but there's also the big elephant in the room, which is Aaron Rodgers, right? So the 49ers, I mentioned this, they have not had an Aaron Rodgers, right? They have Jimmy Garoppolo, they have Brock Purdy, they have Trey Lance, who they hope could be this dynamic mobile QB in which they could run, Shanahan's scheme. But that being said, would you say the Packers, the floor scheme, would look a lot closer to Shanahan's if Jordan Love was the starter? Simply because they then wouldn't be oh, well, we don't have a back-to-back MVP who can sling it, who can throw the ball. It's kind of just hey, maybe we are a little bit more run heavy, or maybe we are a little bit closer to the ground and pound that, you see in Shanahan's.
I think maybe a little bit more, but they have two different philosophies for sure. Just how they, I would say, go about prepping for the week and how they align the playbook and the plays. And a lot of that comes down to your assistant coaches as well. So one coach will be in charge with kind of putting together the third down plan. One will be in charge with the red zone plan. That's not LaFleur. He is a part of those conversations, and he is checking them off and but yes, people have their own specific roles as assistant coaches, and then they bring it to the table, and then it's collaborative. But if you have maybe 8 third down plays in a specific area, maybe 6 of them are suggested from this assistant coach, right? All of these pieces play into that, and then you have to bring in personnel into it where in Green Bay, they believe that Aaron Jones, his run style is a wide zone runner, right? But maybe they don't necessarily build the run game and play action game together as much as San Francisco has a more downhill running scheme. Things are more downhill. There's more guys pulling. Just because you have the same tree and the same scheme, you're not calling it the same. And I really wish that people would take a step back and just take scheme out of it. Look at what plays are being run and people in their jobs and what they're doing. Do they look anything alike? No. You would never say that those offenses would even be under the same tree. You wouldn't even know if you didn't know the coaches. And so I think people get so enamored in that.
Okay, Brian.
Oh, I was just saying, like, I think as football fans, we need simple explanations for things, and that's probably why. And I think even just trying to say, you know, as a football fan, like, they're running this scheme, it's working, it's Shanahan's thing. I think we have to take even a step down from there as fans, because we don't know. We have no idea what goes into a playbook, a scheme.
Yes.
And we just have to say whether it's good or bad. That's it. That should be where is
it working or is it not working?
Work or no work?
They're scoring touchdowns. Good.
Is there a third string who was really the fourth string quarterback starting preseason for them? Is he playing extremely well at a high level, taking care of the football, completing passes? Guys are wide open and he's delivering. Or is it like everything is really tight and like, you know what I mean? It's I think last night the first touchdown to Kittle on the fake double screen tight end up the middle, like that was a really good impersonation.
That was great.
That
I think Perna could be the QB.
Totally. That's not like a coaching tree scheme thing. That is a play caller deciding that, hey, I saw something on film. This is how I feel like we can best attack it for this particular team this week. And like I think there's more to it than just, hey, this is what we run. We're gonna put it in because we know cover 3, this play works, cover 4, this play works. Like it's like really dialing it up versus relying on the scheme. I don't think Shanahan relies on his scheme and his roots as much as other people do. He's willing to kind of go off the reservation and, you know what I mean, like take chances. But when you have a defense that's the number 1 defense in the league, you can take it. So I don't think people talk about that side of the spectrum either. Like the Packers, like these teams that are under that tree, they don't have the best defenses in the league right now. So their offenses, like, can you afford to like be as risky? Maybe not.
So, because there is the other thing that's kind of getting some response is talking about, okay, the McVay part had been figured out as well. And then like there's people who are saying, well, like, look who just won a Super Bowl. And your response literally was like, yeah, because they went out and like got a whole bunch of guys. So do you think that this season in particular is more because like the scheme's been figured out? Is it injuries? Is it like players left who were like big time contributors? Their offensive line doesn't exist anymore? Because it just seems like you have Shanahan who can take a Brock Purdy, put him in there, and that's no offense to Brock whatsoever. Mm-hmm. Put him in there, and like they can still be incredibly successful. Yeah. If Aaron Rodgers goes down, I don't know in the same scheme that you could do that. Matthew Stafford went down. Baker Mayfield, you know, he had a nice like 2 minutes, played well for like 5 minutes in the fourth quarter, led them to a comeback, which was really impressive, but they played like garbage that entire game.
Yeah.
So like, can you kind of speak to like the McVay part as well?
Yeah, I think that's like entirely team building too. And it's not just offense, but offense is a big part of it. But like, I don't feel like anyone in the 49ers locker room saw Trey go out and they were like, oh shit, our season's over. We still got Jimmy. We're good. And then Jimmy went out. I can guarantee you no one in that locker room was like, oh my God, we lost Jimmy. Our season's over. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
It's literally like that cliche next man up because they are all bought into the process and how they formulate the playbook for that week and how they deliver it, how like what their process looks like. Like it's a unique place to be where they're really like everybody's just bought in. Whatever that role looks like that week, we feel like that's what's needed to win. And that's what I took away from there. Like some weeks, Christian McCaffrey scoring 3 touchdowns, throwing, catching, receiving. And then some weeks, Debo's getting 2, 3. Like it's all based on like what they feel is best prepped for that week. And I think that they do that because they don't go into any game being like, we're just going to do our stuff and we're better than them because our scheme allows it. Like they're going to dial it up where I think some teams do believe like, hey, we have the players, we have the scheme, we're just going to do what we do. And like, I think that's just kind of like, I don't know. It's a different way to do it.
I think it's almost like the Niners are at a point where losing Trey, losing Jimmy G, and now winning a couple with Brock has like galvanized them. And just like watching Debo Samuel tweeting from home during the game, like you could tell that this team doesn't like just believe in Brock, but they believe in themselves as a unit. And that's going to feed into his confidence. And that game was interesting because outside that first drive where they scored that touchdown with Kittle, he does the double pump fake. Like it felt like he had a pretty rough first half after that, until they scored again. In terms of, it looked like he was a little unsettled. He was missing some throws that he was making the week before. And then they come out of halftime and Kittle's wide open. He hits him. They take it the distance. And like after that, it was just like the defense was going to feast on Geno Smith for the rest of the game because they had the big lead. But like being down to your third guy and getting those wins, I think that does something for an entire locker room. Like, hey, who's going to stop us if we're going out and we're winning with the guy we took last in the draft? We weren't expecting to play, and he's playing well.
Yep.
Because we have playmakers. We did it without Deebo Samuel. And I thought actually like the guy, it felt kind of like the offense might be missing last night was Elijah Mitchell, who's not coming back for a while, but like McCaffrey had to be the workhorse last night. And he can do that, but I don't know if that's exactly how you want to use McCaffrey every week.
It's not.
It felt like they might be breaking off some more big plays in the running game if they had Mitchell. But you were there for like 8 weeks, 6, 8 weeks?
Between 8 and 10 weeks. I'm not entirely sure.
Weeks? What, like, I had a couple questions for you. If anybody doesn't know, Kurt was with the 49ers for most of this season. First question I had, and I've been thinking about this one for a while.
I can't wait.
Is Jimmy Garoppolo as striking in person?
Do you know how many times he got asked that last night? Jimmy got asked that, and if Brock Purdy's nickname is true.
See, I kept it classy.
You did. Jimmy's a great looking guy, man. He's a great looking guy.
But were you like taken aback when you saw him?
I wasn't taken aback. I think, like images online, it could do something different. Like he's a guy, he's just a dude. But Jimmy's a good looking dude. Respect that.
What was Brock's role while you were there? Was he the third string, or were you guys both on the practice squad?
No, he was second string. I was practice squad, and it was very evident that most of like it was really any extra scraps of reps that they could get Brock to get him more reps and prepared, like they were his. So it wasn't a typical like the 2 and the 3 split practice squad or practice scout team reps. It was like, hey, we're trying to get Brock ready just in case, and like good for them. So I didn't really do a whole lot of actual like practice reps, or I was just going through drills, and that was a lot of what my workload was. I get occasional reps here and there, but it was very much an emphasis on, hey, like Brock has not played and we need to get him as ready as possible with every last rep we can give him. But he's like a young kid that's getting after, like he studies, he's prepared. Like he's probably a little more laid back now than he was when I was there. He's not paranoid, but very much like knew the chance of the opportunity and didn't want to miss it. So I think he's actually enjoying himself now a little more, because it was not, I don't think he was enjoying himself as the number 2, because it was a lot of work and a lot of like build up,
Right.
And that's good.
When Garoppolo got hurt, did they reach back out to you at all?
They did not. They brought in Josh Johnson, who had been there he was there a total of 3 years, like with that staff. And so they wanted a guy that was older and had been in the system, and that's just what it was.
They wanted a guy who's been in every system.
In every system. Talking about experience.
Yeah.
And that'll do it. You mentioned that whole idea of like that anticipation and like that build up and stuff. I mean, but that's also, you have stuff coming out of Green Bay too, of like Jordan doesn't want to sit for another year, because like it'd be his 4th year sitting, and like there has to be at some point you're like, hey, like I just want to play football. Like, give me a shot. I mean, how many times have you said too, it's like, hey, I just want the tape. I just want the tape so like teams can see and be like, hey, yes or no, or what have you, instead of like this wondering of like, oh, can he ball or not? Yep. It's like, just give me an opportunity to just like put some game film together.
And that's so important. I mean, if you look at a guy like Jordan, he's been there for 3 years and have played a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Then you have a guy like Brock, who was the last pick of the draft, and he's starting. And like, so you look across the league, like it's just natural, like, damn, like look at that situation, look at this situation. Like my situation is different than theirs. It's just so much of it is really just like time and place and what staff you're with, like how long have you been there, how much do they value at that particular moment in time, if you're needed and if you're not. And at the end of the day, like that's back to my decision to not send it up to Minnesota for that workout, is like I really am starting to flip gears. Like, what does next year look like with a team that I believe I can at least get a shot through OTAs, preseason, and see what happens.
Broncos?
You never know.
Got that connection, baby. Brandon, why don't you make some calls, Brandon?
I shall.
You know what I mean? Like you can see like a dead end when it's like right in front of you, and you're like, all right, I'm just ready for the next, I'm ready for the next real opportunity versus it being like just patchwork till the end of the year.
Right.
I mean, yeah. I mean, listen, there's people who are looking at Aaron Rodgers' contract and are saying all sorts of things, but I think the problem is for Jordan, he's kind of like in a tough spot because the Packers are just like, no, we're not trading you. Right. So like they could be like, nope, we're picking up your 5th-year option. Like after this, Goody already said that he's seen enough. So we could do that. Say again?
The Packers way.
Yeah. Right. So Rodgers winds up staying for another year. And then like his first real start for his first season is going to be his contract year. Yeah. And like, that's when we get a first good look at Jordan Love. Again, that might ruin kind of relationships and kind of like ruin things like that. But
yeah.
I think rights for Kurt. So that's why I like it. And it just happened to hurt the Vikings, which also I like.
I think like that Green Bay situation is so unique because it's like, what do they want to look at for the next 5 years? Like, what do you see as like the trajectory of, like, you have to think of like GMs and coaches and their contracts and players and the roster and like what pieces do we have on defense that are still together? We got some young talented receivers. Like when can we make all this mesh at the right time to make a run, like a legitimate run? And those are questions that I know they have all the time. And so it's like, on the flip side of that, in my opinion, if I don't know what Aaron's contract is, I'm like, I think it's what, like 50 million or something.
He's getting 50 mil next year. Like he's getting so much guarantee. So basically, if he's either retiring or he's coming back, like there's no way. And he has he can refuse any trade. So like it's literally up to Aaron.
In my opinion, like, and I have no skin in the game in this. Like I look at it from, where does Aaron's 50 million make the most difference? Is it in Green Bay? Does that 50 million like elevate them to the point where they feel like they can do it with the rest of the roster? Or is that 50 million like guarantee another team that's like ready right now? And so like, that's how I look at it. You know what I mean? Like if you put Aaron on the 49ers right now, like what does that look like? You know what I mean? Versus, I don't know. But those are like, that's kind of like the same thing with the Rams. The Rams paid and did all the draft picks and like they sold out right now to win right now because they feel like that was their opportunity. That was their window. So do the Packers feel like they have their window next year, or you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I still will die on the sword that, they went all in, the Packers way, their version of all in. They had their best shot. Because it is. Because people will look at the Rams and be like, well, they could have signed OBJ. They could have signed Von Miller. They could done this, that, and the other thing. But I will say, like, when they lost in the championship against the Bucks, like that was probably one of their best opportunities. And then it was last season. Last season, I don't, like, as you and I talk, I don't think that anybody expected to lose to the San Francisco 49ers. Like they didn't think the season was over. I think they could have beaten the Rams 100% in Lambeau. And then
I will say if the 49ers or if the Packers last year, the team that I was on, beat the Niners, there was no way in hell that wasn't a Super Bowl team. That was the one team that the matchup was not good for us. And that I think also in the NFL matters more than anything, is like, what teams are you built to beat and will you have a tough time with? And we felt like if we can get past the Niners, then it's on. But like that was the toughest game of the whole offseason or the whole postseason slate.
Yeah.
Just happened to come in round one.
And with weather too, a real equalizer.
Well, and you look at, the 49ers, they're built to run. They're like, okay, we don't need to, like, we're just run the ball and play good defense. And, we talked about this. We've dissected it, like, big dog, like fumbling, and like it just changed the whole momentum and never got back to what it was. But in terms of kind of moving forward, like the 49ers, I'm curious to get your take on. So Brock Purdy, obviously rookie QB, he's kind of going through it. You're talking about matchups. They're obviously going to make the postseason because they already clinched their division. How important do you think it is to kind of have like a ramp in the postseason that maybe you do play like that easier opponent that's not, like the Eagles? They're not going to play the Eagles. They'll probably be the first seed, but like not the Cowboys or something like that, that they have like a game in the postseason. Brock's like, okay, I could settle down, what have you. And then we start getting into the real competition.
I think it matters a lot. I would say it matters slightly less for the 49ers just because of their style of play. But if they're not built for games getting out of hand and playing from behind, that is like very obvious.
Yeah.
That happened in the Chiefs game. Like they were in it the whole time, but as soon as it got out of hand, like it was over. But if they're the ones that I think are built for a non-ramp up, but a ramp up helps every team. You don't want to I mean, it's three-ish games in the playoffs, right? Like of the most physical games you'll play all year. And this team already plays like a crazy physical style of football. That's in my opinion, why they have so many injuries, but it's also why they're winning so many games. And so you don't want to go into that week 2, week 3, like dogfight really, really beat up from that first game. Like you want a cakewalk. Everybody does. But
Sure.
no playoff game is just going to be a cakewalk like on paper, but you want it.
Yeah.
2 questions here. First one, like, what was the biggest difference between the 49ers, kind of like your experience there versus in Green Bay? And then at San Francisco, you're watching guys like Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey comes in, you have George Kittle there. Like, which, to me, it just, there's so many incredible skill players. Was there like a guy you're watching practice and you're like, damn, like that dude is just
all
so
of them.
good?
It was without a doubt the most talented roster that I've ever seen. And I think part of it comes with not having all of your money in a quarterback. Like it was a unique thing for me. Like I was like, holy, like where do they have all the money for this stuff? And I'm like, oh wait, there it is.
Yeah.
But I would say the biggest takeaway that I have from it is the guys on the team, and I'm not taking this as a slight at Jimmy. They basically were like, hey, it's our job to make Jimmy look good. That was like the mindset. Like, hey, we get the ball in our hands, we make plays, like we're going to make this thing look good. It wasn't on Jimmy when he was playing. Where the flip side in Green Bay, the mindset, in my opinion, was we got Aaron, we're good.
Yeah.
And that like back and forth, it's a whole different way to play ball when you look to one guy to be like the guy of the team, which you do expect that out of your quarterback, but they did not out of in the 49ers locker room. It was just like, hey, like Jimmy's our guy right now. Like we got to go make him look good. And that's literally all it was. And
Yeah.
Jimmy was playing really good football before he got hurt.
Yeah.
But I think it's also that like there's no pressure. It's just like, hey, I got a good supporting cast. We have a really good scheme that we all trust. We know can work against anybody we play against, and it'll look a little different week to week. But that's the biggest difference.
That's funny because I feel like that's what cursed the Broncos this season.
They
Was
looked at
Russell Wilson comes in and we all thought
he's the guy.
It was finally going to be like he's going to be the guy, and it's not that he can't play anymore or anything like that, but I don't think the team was prepared to quote make him look good.
Yes.
And it's just been a snowball of bad injuries and other things on top of that. But I think there's something to that mindset heading into the season. And I think the team thought he was going to save them because they were close before.
That is it. That's a great point. Like they don't feel like they need anyone to save them. Where like, especially in last year, like when Aaron hurt his foot or his toe or whatever, like we're like, man, is he going to be all right? Like,
yeah,
we need that guy. Where in San Francisco, it's like, oh shit, he got hurt, but all right, let's figure out a way to make it work. Like we got our guys that we need.
We got 20 guys who can score touchdowns on any play. If we just get them the ball.
But it's like, I mean, like legit, like you go back to the seasons where like Aaron was hurt, like he breaks his collarbone, like every Packer fan is like, all right, it's done now. Like, right. It was like week like 8. It's like, yeah, well, that's the whole season. Like it's done. Like, that's not how it is with the 49ers. You have your 4th string guy in there and they're still like winning the division and winning games. And it's interesting because you mentioned this on stream yesterday because you were asked who the hardest working teammate you ever had was. And you said Nick Bosa.
Yeah. Dude it's crazy, man. Like he's honest, like he's a physical freak, but he's a machine. Like he's like iRobot. Like I'm like, this is my routine. Like I want to say it was a Monday, right? And I don't stay around late. I go in early. Like that's my thing. And I was there late one day, just like getting some stuff done. And he comes in 2 hours after our like Monday ramp up practice. It was like right after bye week, maybe. And he had been lifting for 2 hours, like after a lift that he'd already had. Like dude is in the weight room doing his own lift protocol separate from the team. Like if we lift 2 to 3 days a week, he is lifting 5 days a week. I saw the dude basically what I thought was maxing out on squats and bench. I want to say the Friday before the Sunday game, but like that is how he goes. Like, and he has a pre-practice routine that he does every single day, like with his flexibility, and like he's always physically doing something. And it's like this dude doesn't stop. But he's like it's crazy.
It shows though. And
it shows.
Like, you and I had this conversation, and I think Perna would like really get into this. You said that the 49ers do not practice like 2-minute drills. Like they
once a week.
It's really not a focus of theirs at all, just because they're never really in those situations.
Yeah, once a week. And it's like it's once a week, and we may touch over 2-minute install, like brush over it, but it's not every week. And that was because when you go to a new place, you're like, okay, like what's the flow of the week? When is third down meeting? When is like blitz pickup meeting? When are these like specific meetings that are kind of standard around the league? And I would go in and be like, hey, like when's this? And like, what do you mean? What's that? Like, we don't. It's just kind of like caked into the day. So there's these things that aren't like priorities, but they put their priorities in certain places they feel like they get the most return of. Because again, you only have so many hours in a day, and so it's like it's pretty wild. But again, if you really think about it, like 2-minute drill, everybody does pretty much the same thing on defense. They get kind of soft. They like to run two shell. They like to play outside leverage. Like it's kind of standard. And then if there's a curveball, you know of it, and that's prepped to you from the coaches. But it's a whole different philosophy of how to play the game, and I think that's why they're so consistent, because they found what they can just plug guys in, and if one guy gets hurt, one guy goes out. Like they feel like they have a formula that's, if you have enough good guys, we're going to be a competitive team.
Yeah. I just found that fascinating because it's just a completely different way to look at it. Because because you said like they're not going to go for the touchdown, like they're just going to go and like get the field goal. Like they're usually going to get the ball with 4 minutes and they're going to drain the entire clock. So then they don't need to like run 2 minutes. I think it's just like a really interesting philosophy, because how many times is it like, oh, 2-minute drill, 2-minute football, like here we go, like hurry it up. Because I asked Kurt, like you see, especially with like younger QBs, that coaches are willing to like burn those timeouts, even if they have a bunch of time left on the clock to kind of like get them settled or what have you. Right. But with the vet guys, it's kind of like, just go, leave it in their hands. And like, that's kind of what led to that question, because the 49ers are like, we don't even need a 2-minute drill.
Yeah. It's one of those things. It's not an issue if I think the rest of the entire team's well coached. If they're playing well, it's not an issue. But I think it was like, I guess 2 or 3 years ago when Teddy Bridgewater was with the Panthers, and there was this big story, I think after he left and when he came to Denver, and he was like, we didn't even practice 2-minute drills there. And it was like this big story used to knock like Matt Rule and the coaching staff, because, the Panthers were struggling and losing games. Yeah. And obviously, if you're doing that and you're not practicing, it's going to be used as a knock against the coach.
Exactly. Right? If it's not working, you're like, oh, they don't do this and that. But like, I think that's the one thing I really appreciated about Kyle. His personality and how he goes about business was, I told my wife, like when I was coming home from work, like he's been really cool to be around, and he's not for everybody, but I respect that he goes about his process and he does what he needs to do in his mind to be the most prepared, and then to get the team most prepared. And whether that's like streamlined or mainstream or whatever you want to call it, he doesn't care at all. Like, does it get the results that he wants? Like, he's going to do it. And I think that is the whole concept of like breaking away from the tree that he has mastered, in my opinion, to have like sustained success.
Thank God the Broncos had Joe Ellis, who had a personal feud with Kyle Shanahan's dad, and that's why we didn't hire him when we had the chance.
Dude, it's pretty cool to see how he like installs plays, and like people call him like an offensive mastermind, and it's just like you can see someone talk so confidently about something when they know it inside and out all the way through, because it's theirs versus something from somebody else. Like, it's what he wants to do, and he's confident in it, and he believes it'll work. It's different.
It's just cool. Like, it's cool to get like that like peek behind the curtain and like insight. But like, it's also like the 49ers unfortunately beat the crap out of the Packers like every single time that they play them, right? They're like 4-0 against Aaron Rodgers. And I think you can see why, because it also is like the opposite of what the Packers are. I think some people definitely expected the Packers to rely on their run game this year, because like you had Aaron Jones, you had AJ Dillon, and it was still like, nope, like it's kind of Aaron Rodgers' show still, and I think that was frustrating in the beginning, especially because you didn't have the receivers, like Christian Watson hadn't come up yet, and Romeo Doubs is still new. So it's just interesting to see the philosophies, because I think that with the investing the 49ers have done in their team, you look at that defense, right? Like how many first round, second round picks there are, and they just built it up over time. You look at the offensive line, which is good. And then they add these playmakers like Christian McCaffrey. They re-sign guys like Debo, who said he didn't want to be a running back. They still utilize him as a running back whenever they want. They basically have like so many people to run the football, and they could just do whatever they want. So CMC just puts them over the top. Because now it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, we don't need Mitchell. Like, we'll just use CMC all day.
Yeah. It's such a I think that what they're building and have built is going to be the blueprint for teams in a complete rebuild and what they're going to look to have like for sustained success over 10 years. Um, I mean, they were a bad football team when Kyle got there, like a really bad team, but they stuck with what they felt like was the blueprint to get them where they needed to be a contender every year in some way, shape, or form.
That's
I like that.
Behind the bed curtain.
I like that.
I hope
too.
everybody appreciates the insight. I look forward to like sharing these pieces because it's like if you just look on Twitter, like people don't know anything, and they don't like. It can be very frustrating, and that's why I'm open to having these conversations on Twitter because I'm like, guys, no, like this is actually what's going on behind the scenes. Like just for 1 second, just listen.
Just confirming what I've known is that Kyle Shanahan's a good coach. But even he was like fans and 49ers writers, like they were blaming Kyle for a lot of the 49ers troubles. And it's like they forget that their quarterback has been injured every other year. And like Tom just said, like the head-to-heads with the Niners and Packers, Shanahan's got the edge there by quite a bit. He's got the edge over Sean McVay, like in the Rams. Very lopsided. And it's so hard in the NFL because there's so many different things that can change a team's success. Like you don't have to have the best head coach, but if you have a good head coach who can just keep the ship pointed in the right direction and your coordinators and your assistants are working with the team. Like I think of like John Fox, who with the Broncos came in, did all right when he had like this crazy Tebow experience. And then Peyton Manning comes in, and obviously you're going to be good with Peyton Manning. And nobody's looking at John Fox as like this offensive guru or genius, right? Like we talk about Shanahan and McVay and LaFleur. It's important though, when like, if you have a bad head coach, you're screwed. I feel like that affects everything.
Yeah.
Or you need to have the players who compensate for that.
Right.
Yes.
It's very
or the
nuanced,
assistant coaches that really do the work.
Yeah. And I think what Kyle needs to learn, what Sean McVay needs to learn, what LaFleur needs to learn is to make sure your coaching tree will die without you, like Belichick has done. Because when Belichick's coaches leave, they all come back. And McVay, Shanahan, LaFleur, all their assistants and coordinators get poached like every year.
Yeah.
But they keep making it work. So like they need to poison their assistants, and that they can only survive if they're latched to them.
They need to be
That's their greatest weakness is the guys around them get too good, and then they got to go, and then they got to do it all over again.
That's it. Speaking of looking forward, so the title of this is talking about Elimination Weekend because there's a bunch of teams that can be eliminated, and one of those teams is the Rams.
Are you already eliminated? Raise your hand.
Hey. So yeah, the Colts, Saints, Rams, Cardinals can all be eliminated this week. Out of that list, Kurt, is there any team that kind of like surprises you that it's on there? I know for a lot of like casual fans and things like that, you looked at the Rams because they just came off a Super Bowl win. I think it was just surprising to see how much they fell off. Obviously, major injuries, did not help. But were you kind of surprised with how badly they did? Like that Super Bowl hangover hit them like a truck.
I'm honestly not shocked. And I'm not just saying that because like, yeah, they're having a bad year, but I just think, again, back to that whole scheme question, like the way that they run their plays, if they have players that can dominate, that scheme can look crazy good. But if not everything is in a row, it can fall apart pretty quickly. And again, like those types of teams, like, yeah, you could be a Super Bowl contender every year if you got the right guys, but you really do need the guys.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not shocked, but I would say I really thought at the beginning of the year the Colts were going to be a solid team. And
a lot of us did.
That's the one that's like still like I don't know what went wrong. I don't know what changed. I know there's been a lot of turnovers, like leading the league in turnovers, and obviously you can't win a lot of games doing that.
Yeah,
but like, I'm just like, how
crazy?
Like, how does that happen?
Well, yeah, I think the problem is too, like the Colts have this really bad luck, and God, the irony there. They have it because like they had the QB and they didn't have the O-line, right? But they had the QB, then they didn't have the QB, then they had the O-line, and now they don't have the QB or the O-line because like the O-line hasn't been as good, the QB is not as good. Jonathan Taylor's been dealing with injuries; he isn't his dominant self either. So like it's a mix of everything. Their defense is solid, but again, they also have 33 points put on them in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a mix of like a perfect storm of just nothing has lined up for the Colts. And they are just such in like QB carousel hell limbo that I don't even know where you begin to address to make them a competent team next year.
Here's a funny stat I just saw. So you're right, Kurt. Obviously, turnovers make it hard to win. This week, who's in elimination games? The Colts, the Saints, and the Rams. Guess which 3 teams are top in turnover differential for being worst? It's the Colts, the Saints, and the Rams. And the Colts are -14.
Oh,
the Rams are -12. I'm sorry, the Saints are -12, and then the Rams -6. So yeah.
There's been
what's a sad stat is the Broncos are +2, and they're the only team who's been eliminated with a positive turnover.
So the ball isn't everything, is what we're saying.
Ball does lie. Ball does lie.
Ball does lie.
Ball does lie a lot to me specifically.
It's funny because, and maybe this is just like in my sphere, you have like the Vikings, right? Yeah. I am so curious to get your take on the Vikings because it is ranged from, listen, they're winning like gutsy games. Like it doesn't look pretty. They have like a -1 like point differential. Like they're barely pulling it off. They're gritty. Like what is your take right now on the Minnesota Vikings? Because they remind me a lot of the Packers back when they went to the NFC Championship against the 49ers. They kind of are like, okay, when they go up against like really good teams, I don't know, but they did beat the Bills. Like, again, I'm not trying to bash them, even though I'd love to. Like, what is your take on this team with a new head coach? Like they have the offense, their defense is not great, but they're winning gritty games.
I think that they are obviously a good team. They have the right guys in the locker room. I think that it's like they're just so inconsistent, and you could pin it on maybe it's just guys not showing up some weeks. Like that can happen in the NFL. Like it's not going to be all sunshine and roses every week. I also think like they don't match up scheme wise great against everybody. But again, that's why they can look so damn good because they have the players, and when the scheme fits against the other scheme on defense that they're trying to dial it up against, they can score 40 points so quick. They have the players. But if you can't get into that rhythm because the other defensive scheme isn't matching up well against you, then it's tough. It's going to be a really gritty game. And they have the players to still win those close games. That's why I think you're seeing it. But it's again, that's isn't that the same tree? That's the wide zone, like boot stuff. Like it's the same tree, right? So I think
came over from McVay.
Yeah, and so I think that is to like the point earlier that we made is they do have the guys on the team though. So yeah, they look kind of like the Rams offense did last year, but the Rams offense didn't crush every game last year.
No, like, they didn't win in November.
Exactly. They didn't match up well against certain schemes they were playing against, but they went on a streak in the playoffs where they did. So I think they look just like the Rams did last year without maybe some of the stars on defense, but offensively they are very similar. They got a quarterback that can deliver it. They got some playmakers on offense, got a good run game. Like they are a carbon copy, in my opinion, of the Rams from last year. They just don't have the same defense. But it's a streaky way to live.
Yeah. The Minnesota Vikings giving up the most passing yards this season and the most yards per game. They're allowing 403.7 yards per game.
What about the score? What about the points? How good are they in the red zone?
Their points it's a lot better. Man.
And that is also another thing that teams are starting on defense to like be willing to do. Like back in the day, it was like we don't give up an inch. These teams are like, we'll give up an inch, but we feel like you're going to make a mistake before you get to the end zone.
Yeah.
And
24.1 points per game. It's like ninth, tied with the Raiders. But
makes sense.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like the defensive philosophies are changing, and I think it's because offenses are changing. This is the next approach to how do we like win games differently than we used to. Like this is not like the 2000s football where it's like don't give an inch, like run, hit. Like some of these teams are just playing catch, like they're catch tackling, and they're gonna wait for you to make a mistake because on offense you have to have 11 people doing the right thing at the right time, and like one little misstep can be a turnover. So they're willing to play those odds over the course of a game that, hey, we're not just going to give you a touchdown, but we'll give you some yards.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. And that's why I think, like, not to bring it back to the 49ers again, but like, I think the Eagles 49ers match, like, that is like a team that could definitely beat the 49ers, but like, that should be a great game because like you said, if it gets out of hand, then it's a problem for the 49ers because their offense is not going to be able to like put up points like Jalen Hurts is going to be able to. Yeah, and the Cowboys are so streaky. Like, who knows what offense shows up that day?
I think that the Eagles playing the 49ers, if it happens that way, will look very similar to the 49ers and Chiefs game from this year. It was like 17-14 or something like that by halftime. And then what does the second half look like? Because the Eagles could beat the 49ers 40-14, but they could also lose by 2 touchdowns. And so it's like, what's the game? Like, that's gonna be a really fun one to watch if it plays out like that.
Yeah, I agree.
My favorite Viking stat this year is their point differential is -1.
Yeah, I just said that.
Yeah. Okay, I wasn't listening.
When you have a bad matchup and you lose, it can look really ugly. Yeah.
I was trying to find it. Like it.
I literally just said
sorry, I pulled the tree. I was not listening. Continue.
I love it.
I heard
a lot of I'm looking up Viking stats.
I can't multitask.
It's fine, buddy. It's fine.
Look at the Vikings of multitasking.
You got a -1 point differential.
Like, who knows how it's gonna go?
It's fine. It's fine. There's some great games though, besides where you could have eliminations. You got Dolphins Bills on Saturday, so it's a good divisional game. The Dolphins obviously won the first one, but they're kind of they've been falling down a little bit. Like they haven't looked as good the past couple of weeks. We talked about the 49ers kind of breaking them a tiny bit, dealing with some injuries. I don't know what Jeff Wilson's like extent to his injuries are. Their defense is not as great. I mean, but this could be a fun divisional game. It could be played in Blizzard.
Here's a question then, because like the story about this game all week has been the weather, which I think is a good thing for the Dolphins in that it deflects from any real issues people might be asking questions about.
Great
point. I think there's this misconception that a team that plays in cold weather more is going to be better in that game. To me, bad weather just means the game's going to be harder for both teams.
Yes. Okay.
It's unless like the Dolphins are a team that actually plays underwater every week, and the team that never does has to go play Miami underwater or some shit. Like is that your thought as well? Like after maybe the first series, once your body gets used to the cold, you're good to go, right?
Like we're all humans, and cold is cold, man. Like it's really damn cold. And I would say, just from my experience in Green Bay, when we played the 49ers in the playoffs, I felt like we were a sluggish team that day. And I feel like it's because we practiced outside in freezing temperatures 3 times a week. And by the time you get to game day, if you look at like recovery and like human performance and like those things, like, is practicing outside throughout the week actually helping you prep for the weather? Or is it like draining your body and you're not fresh come game day? Because all that matters, like the philosophy around the league, is whatever you got to do to be ready on game day, do that.
Got to acclimate yourself. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like if you feeling like you can be your best player on game day is being cold all the time and practicing in the cold, like that's one way to look at it. Or how about I just be fresh as I can possibly be come game day, and I just accept that I'm going to be cold as shit.
Yeah.
Like everyone's going to be cold. So I'd rather feel fresh and cold than like tired and know what cold feels like and cold on game day.
Because the Dolphins right now, like that was the story this week. Like they're practicing inside, like with the AC blowing and things like that. I mean, that's not going to be able to replicate it, but that's actually really interesting because you talked about this yesterday, like the NFL, like the Packers, they have like Sherpa inlining and like they go above and beyond. They give you more than what the NFL does because they're used to the cold. But I mean, we've seen it. We've seen it against the Buccaneers in the championship game. We've seen it against the 49ers. Like the Packers' home field advantage used to be a real thing in the playoffs. Like they just did not lose at Lambeau. Then Mike Vick came in with the Falcons, and that kind of ended that entire streak.
Like I can run on frozen tundra, idiots.
Yeah. Like I remember back in the day when the Jaguars won at Lambeau, and it was like this biggest, like, oh my God, I can't believe that the Packers lost in Lambeau when it was like this cold, what have you.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that like you said that maybe like it's not as much as the advantage, but
I think it hurts. I'm gonna stand on that pedestal. I, as a player, if I was playing, would rather feel great all week and cold as shit on game day, but my sleep wasn't affected, my recovery wasn't affected, my body wasn't as achy throughout the week. Show up on game day, do my little pregame, get a feel of what the cold feels like, adjust how I need to, and go and be cold for those 3 hours of the game, and then be done. Versus just
Soft. Nick Bosa would be practicing all week without any clothes in freezing temperatures.
no, he just pees in at high schools. He just pees outside.
oh my god.
Do you think there's like any merit to if you're it's going to be like a rainy game and like as a quarterback maybe you do some work with like wet balls that week?
He just wants to.
I didn't mean to laugh at it as I was saying it.
Like, we talked about that a lot.
His head.
We actually we talked about that in our quarterback room in Green Bay, and Aaron was a big like hater of wet ball drill because it's just like, what are we doing? Like,
breaking news: Aaron Rodgers does not like wet balls.
But I would say too, like practicing with a wet ball in practice, like you're just soaking the ball. It's sitting there. It's wet. In the game, the balls aren't going to be just sitting there wet. Like they're going to shuffle in a new ball every single play. They're going to have towels. They're going to you know what I mean? Like the process for the ball on game day is not the same as the ball in practice. Like it's a different ball. Practice balls and game balls are different. They feel different. And the process of prepping the ball and how they keep it in the heater or like whatever they do on game day is not what they do in practice. So it's just like, what are we, again, it's kind of similar to that.
Wait a minute.
Cold argument.
Wait. The game ball, how do you mean is it like vastly different than the practice ball?
Yes.
So like teams can't just like hold on. Because I understand like they're like inflated weird and like, and like all that great stuff, but like how different are we talking?
Like you could literally throw me a game ball and throw me a practice ball, and I'd say this is the game ball, this is the practice ball, and it's not even close. You'd be able to see it. You could throw me a kicking ball and a practice ball. Why can't you just
practice with game balls?
Because the game balls are basically they have new balls pretty much every week or every other week that are for games that are then shuffled into practice balls after the games. Because once they're like worn X amount of times, like they're not.
That makes sense. Okay.
You know what I mean? And so the game balls are like they're a whole different breed.
Fresher.
Yeah. And they're like the edges you can feel better. They're not so like rounded. They're kind of like they're just different.
Yeah, because I knew like kicking balls and things like that were different, but so you're just getting like the worn game balls, basically.
Yeah, and that's the other part. Like, okay, if your game balls are one thing, offensive practice balls are the next step. And then once those aren't good enough, then they go to defensive practice balls, and then they go to like kicking jugs, all that stuff. So it's like there's this like life cycle of a ball.
Of a football. You got to put a GoPro on it and it just like goes through.
Yeah, that'd be a good video.
The motions or whatever. That's really interesting though, because all right, so it's just that they're new. Like for the game, they're just brand new.
They're new, but they're not just like out of the box. They're prepped specifically to be new balls that are for the game, like mudded up, like they're like scuffed in the right spots, like the edges are like kind of shaped appropriately. It's a process. Like it's a legitimate process. And every team's game balls feel different because every team has their own way of doing it. It's just like it's crazy. It's that whole entire thing is nuts.
That's weird. It seems like
it's not a standard ball in the league.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Sorry. Like because I knew like there was nuances, but like I didn't realize it was like that extreme. That it's like, oh yeah, no, like this is new. Like this is a game ball and this is a practice ball.
Sounds like NFL just doesn't want to pay for every team to have new balls at practice every week so that they're the same. Same way they don't really demand that every team keep the playing turf up to the same standards for every
Man,
game.
if there was a day in an episode to have a Manscaped ad, like this would be the transition.
No doubt.
Would be so good.
No doubt. I just think like every team gets sent these balls that are in the box, and then every team has their own way of prepping the ball that they're used to get it ready for game day. That's within the parameters that they're given. And like this ball is one of the balls from the games last year, and like it's not inflated heavily, but you can see like how like sharp the edges are.
Yeah.
Like if this was inflated more, it wouldn't look as drastic, but like this ball is like a non-rounded like ball with edges. The bumps on the ball are more raised. the laces, like these laces are sticking up higher than some balls, and not every ball comes out of the box the same. So they'll let people go through it. This can be a good game ball. This can be a practice ball. This can be a good one. This can be a practice ball, because they're not all the same. They're, I'm assuming, handmade for the most part. And so they go through this like funneling of what does the ball look like, and it's like you can literally tell if you were to put 5 of one team's ball that are all the same and 5 of another's and blindfold me, I could tell you which ones go together. And it's just like, maybe that's a YouTube video one day, but it's serious.
Yeah.
It's like, it's an art.
The ball test.
No, it's literally an art.
Yeah. I can't. Oh my God, the innuendos. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like that's because like when you and I, like when you were I didn't realize like those balls are hard, man.
Yeah.
Like they hurt.
Like, over there, like just so happy.
As soon as you, so you threw some piss missiles at me, and geez, like my thumb went back a few times. The wrist went back. Like those things they're effing solid. Like they hurt.
Dude, and if you were to grab, this happened in preseason to me. So preseason with the Packers, it was 3rd down. We had a play. It was a incompletion. We're running off the field. The special teams is running on. The special teams football gets thrown in. LaFleur says, no, we're going for it. Okay. Offense goes back on. Special teams comes out. The special teams ball is still in the field, and it stayed there. So the play I think it was, I want to say it was 3rd to 4th down. So anyways, I'm out there, and the special teams ball is out there, and I get the ball snapped to me. And as soon as I catch the ball, I'm like, oh my God, this is a special teams ball. Like, I'm not going to throw a slant because it might sail out of my hand. And so, like, those are like literally processing things that are happening as I'm catching the ball, because I can feel it. And I'm like, it changes everything. It changes how you have to throw. And so, like, the balls are all different. I would never, like, the guys, like the punters that throw these like punt passes, like the fake punt pass.
Yeah.
They're throwing it with really tough balls. Like, that's why those throws are so impressive to me, because I'm like, how do you grip that thing? Like I wouldn't want to throw that. I would not want to be a punter that has to throw.
Yeah, you don't think about that. Like,
yeah.
And you can't, I mean, how noticeable would it be if they put in a regular ball for a fake punt attempt? Like, is the defense going to see that right away? Or
I would say if there are any like vets that have been around on like that front line, they could tell, like, what's up.
Like,
you know what a kicking ball looks like. It looks like a rugby ball. It literally is shaped more like a rugby ball than that ball. A kicker, like, you couldn't pay Crosby to kick that ball.
No. That's actually a great question. Like, is that the same in college too? Like, is it like a similar thing where it's like the practice balls are just like use game balls and they just go down like
it's
the NFL?
Not the same.
I know it's different balls from the NFL. I'm just saying, like,
I would say it's similar, but it's not as like I felt like we would use the same game balls for a while in college, and like, hey, like, can we get some new ones, please?
They're just like, we're not gonna. They're like, no, like we're really tight on funds. We can't.
Yeah,
we ain't paying the players. We ain't paying the balls neither.
Yep. I didn't know this was gonna be a balls cast.
Honestly, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, Lions Jets. That's the other game. That's like a hard transition. Speaking of balls, yeah, Zach Wilson playing. I think that definitely hurts them. We just saw, like, people were talking about the betting lines that it literally went that now the Lions are gonna be favored in there. Titans Chargers. 2 teams manning it up on the field.
That might be just like a boxing match with elbows.
Yeah.
Like, just trying to hit each other.
Like, no, I don't want to. Can you describe the smell of the field?
I feel like the Chargers are playing better every week, and the Titans are playing a little bit worse.
It's going
to the Titans skyrocketing, but I can't even do the motions correctly.
They might just like high five on the way by.
Yeah, exactly. Bye, guys. High five, low five.
Safe to say, in this episode, we did indeed go.
How long did you take?
Sorry, I was a little late. It took a while to upload.
Kurt, someone wants to know real quick what the smell of the field isn't it depending on the field?
It depends on the field.
Yeah,
some smell like
turf.
Poison. Some smell like turf. Some smell like a nice garden. The locker rooms all smell
Nice
different.
garden.
Yeah, some locker rooms smell terrible depending on if you're away and they don't take care of them. The Chicago Bears away locker room had probably 3 or 4-year-old McDonald's underneath the cabinets that the practice squad players were playing in that locker. I should have a video. I should probably do something with that video.
Oh
I
my
have
God,
Yeah.
please.
but it was
Please.
Oh my
legitimately
God,
like,
that'll blow up.
dude, it
That'll
was
blow
rock
up.
hard. It was literally like we were knocking like these they were McChickens and McDoubles on the counter. They were rock hard, like look, they were from a museum, and it was
Yeah.
just like the gross
Well,
smelling thing in the world.
we know McDonald's food doesn't deteriorate over
It
time.
just,
so,
It just smells worse.
it just
yeah.
does. They're asking if you use mud to prep the balls, Kurt.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
do.
There you go.
It's a mud mixture. I don't know exactly what's in it, but it's like it's a specific mud mixture. Yeah.
There you go.
What's the best locker room?
Ooh, away locker room?
Best
Yeah.
away locker room. Trying to think of some that I've been to that have been solid. That's hard to like just think about each team.
Kurt, why can't you think of every single
I
stadium
know.
you've ever
I
been
know,
There's
to?
only
right?
32.
Who did we play?
I had to imagine like in SoFi or something like that, like those locker rooms.
SoFi was sweet. Yeah,
Right?
SoFi was good. The Panthers was like pretty solid. It's hard to think of like which ones were good because no away locker room's like stellar. It's
Yeah,
like what
they
are the
want it to
really
be.
bad ones? Like
Yeah, what are the worst?
the Commanders when they were the Redskins, like that locker room I remember being like rough.
No,
It's a
the-
bunch of like
wait.
booby
The
traps you
Bears?
got to navigate through.
Dan Snyder not taking care of a stadium? No, Kurt, no.
Yeah. The Bears, like I said, the Bears away locker room, like literally for the practice squad players, that's the other part. Like some of these, they don't even house enough spots for people to sit in. And we were in this like not kitchen, but like storage room as practice squad players that we had to go work out before the game, like to get our workout in. And we have a stool and like a nameplate on a counter. Like if I was at my kitchen counter and the cabinets are underneath, those cabinets are where like the McDonald's was, and above that on the counter is where like my bag was with my cleats. Like no, I'm gonna find this.
Yeah. If I like any cold weather team, they should have no heat in the locker room as well for the opposing players.
Respect
Like
that.
it should be a disadvantage.
Just have like a sprinkler running at all times, or I'm be like, yeah, sorry,
found
we
it.
can't get that fixed.
Should I text it to you, Tom? Is that the quickest way for you to get it up here, or should I?
Oh, email it to me. Just shoot it to
Okay,
TomGrossiComedy@gmail.
Awesome. It's on the way.
Ooh, yeah, we got to set this up for a GPS clip then.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, just email it to me and I'll put it up.
This is amazing, actually. I remember taking. Oh yeah. Oh my god, I have the video.
Let's
Oh
go.
my god.
Nice.
Okay.
Listen, I came through for you last night with the screaming saxophonist.
Yep.
Which, by the way, do you know how many people? Because I told that story before on Friday Night Q&A. How many people reached out? They're like, "That's actually really impressive that you witnessed that. Like, it's circular breathing." And I was just like, I was impressed. It was a weird night. It was a weird night.
Yeah, I have. Okay, this video is loading. You can continue. I'm gonna email it to you. The picture should already be there. You should be able to see that.
Yeah, I'm downloading it now.
Okay, and then yeah,
Ooh.
I love being a free agent, man. I get to talk about things that like maybe this comes back to bite me down the line, but I don't really care.
We
It's-
were
it's
going to
just
sign you,
facts,
but
right?
you pointed out we had McDonald's in our locker room.
Set up this picture before I show it, Kurt.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna send you one more. This is my specific quote locker for travel versus the Bears.
Okay.
Okay.
Hold on.
Okay.
We'll get this going.
All right. So basically, their away locker room is like these small like corridors that you like go through, and like then it's a little opening here, a little opening here. It's not like this big open locker room. But as practice squad players, you don't have. I would say away teams aren't required to staff or house X amount of spaces for practice squad. It's X amount for the people that are dressing. So Tom sees the video.
No, I'm sorry. I'm a child because
So-
all of it, like, it just popped up really large. It just said K balls on it. I'm a child.
Kicking balls. There you go.
All
So you get in, and so like there's a guy that's waiting who's on the equipment staff, and he'll see who you are. He knows you, and he points what direction you're supposed to head in just to get straight to your locker. And mine was like, he goes this way, and I'm like, okay, like that's a sketchy little hallway. Go down the hallway, make another turn, and I'm like, this is a storage room. I look to my right, and I'm like, oh, there's a stool. That's my locker today. And so you get there, and you have this like away bag for like your cleats, your like
Yeah.
shorts, whatever, all that stuff is on top of this counter with my name tag, And then it's right next to my other teammate who, like, we're sitting basically butt naked next to each other on stools at some point when we're getting changed. Like, imagine going to a public restroom and there's no dividers at the urinals, but
Nice.
you're actually just butt naked. Like, that's so.
All right. So this is the first picture. Okay.
Oh yeah, that looks okay.
Hey,
One, two,
yo, I'm not gonna
5,
lie. I
6,
kind of
7,
want one of those chairs though. I like the
they're
logo
pretty-
on it.
Hey, the Packers travel, man. But
Right.
that is 16 or so practice squad players right there, like in that space. Like that's all of our stuff. That's my spot. See my name. That's my locker.
That's
Love
that's
it.
fancy there. That's
And then this next one is really. I don't know the sound on this video. I did not check, so there may be cussing. I don't know, but
did it go through, Kurt?
I thought it did. Let me check. Oh, I
You
definitely.
emailed it to me?
Yes.
I did not receive it yet.
All right, let
Sorry.
me check.
Oh,
Sorry.
come on, Google faster.
Oh, it's
Sorry.
in the outbox. It's in the outbox.
Sorry.
Sending,
So it
sending,
literally looks
sending.
like a back room, like where they keep.
That's a
storage.
storage room.
Yeah.
Okay, it should be on the way.
Okay.
Okay, can you go back to the picture that's not just of my locker space? Okay, do you see where Ben Braden is the big guy on the right?
Yes.
Behind him, those two cabinets.
Yes.
The cabinets on the floor before the opening. In there, that's where it was.
That's where the McDonald's was.
And so they opened the cabinets to see, oh, can I put my locker stuff in here because I want a little extra space on the top. And then that's when it happened. Did you get the video?
I have not gotten it yet.
Damn it.
I want it so bad.
It won't send. Can I text it to you?
I'm not gonna be able to. It's gonna come out crap. Can you upload it to Google Drive?
Yes. I feel like we can't let this go
We
without.
can't. We can't. Honestly, it's running a little late, but it's fine. We need to get the
We
conclusion.
need
here.
the locker room.
Here,
Okay.
Perna, talk about the Jaguars and Cowboys.
Okay, here's the thing about the Jaguars and the Cowboys.
Nailed
They
it.
are two teams who are going to play football this weekend.
It's true.
You might know the Cowboys is a team that's playing pretty damn good football right now. Guess what? That's also true for Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence versus Dak Prescott in a game that could keep Jacksonville in the playoff hunt. If they win and the Titans lose this week, anything is possible. Of course, the Cowboys, all they need to do to win this game is get the ball to Tony Pollard. I want to see him get 50 touches, 25 carries, 25 passes for Tony Pollard.
Oh, by the
Also,
way,
Jacksonville needs to get Travis Etienne back in the mix.
Sure.
They succeed when actually, they've been winning without
They're
him.
he didn't do anything last week, but yeah.
Yeah, they need to get him more touches in the passing game.
I've heard that, especially for running backs, the amount of trash talk that goes on, like as somebody's on top of you, like after they tackle you, like they say the nastiest crap to you. There's like finger poke, like there's eye poking, like there's like, yeah. True, Kurt?
I can't say I'm a part of those conversations because I'm typically not on the ground, but I think it really depends on people. Like you kind of know going into the game, hey, this dude talks a lot. Like he's one of those guys. Or, hey, this guy's actually really nice. So like you go into a game and you know Jalen Ramsey's going to just try to like chop all game, like same with DK Metcalf. And so like they have that on scouting reports just to be aware for like personal foul potential purposes.
Yeah. Is there a guy you can think of who is super nice, but also like delivers a lot of like violent hits, or like a guy like everybody thinks is like this nasty player, but after he maybe pulverizes somebody, it's like, hey, let me help you up type of guy.
That's Nick Bosa.
Nick Bosa.
Really?
Like he's so like soft spoken and like calm and zen, and it's like it's so weird, but it's awesome. Like his personality is amazing. It's weird because you don't expect it from a guy of his size, like freakish nature. Like all of his explosiveness and like aggression is in his play style, not in his personality at all.
Interesting.
Great. Sorry, real quick. Did you upload to Google Drive?
It's loading right now.
Okay. Yeah, just email me the link like when you have it, and then we'll rock and roll with that.
Perfect.
That's okay. I've learned more about Nick Bosa in the past 2 days than I've ever learned in my life.
I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
Interesting.
Don't like it. I need
Don't like it.
I don't like it. He's got to be an enemy for me, I feel like. But mostly because Joey Bosa plays for the Chargers, and I've had to dislike Joey. So by association, I'm like, I don't like Nick either. And like Travis Kelce has his podcast. I didn't like him. And then I watched the podcast. Like, actually, he seems pretty likable too. I need to be able to villainize these people. Otherwise, it's hard.
That's amazing.
It's hard for me to hate them.
Hard for me to hate them. Luckily, Tom Brady hasn't done anything to change my mind. So, okay.
Oh my God. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, Brandon, you're going to be very happy with me because last night, while Kurt and I were streaming, I asked about the Buccaneers, and you know what he said? Putrid. Ooh. And I said, oh my God, Brandon's going to be so incredibly happy about that. So happy. He didn't call Tom Brady putrid. Want to be very clear. But the Buccaneers putrid.
Hey, man. I know what I see.
425, baby. 425. Away. Let's go.
Yeah, it's just not a good operation right now over there.
No.
But, I mean,
do you think a big part of that's Bruce Arians being gone as head coach?
I think it's a roster issue.
Ooh.
I think it's way more of a roster deal. It just doesn't look. I mean, they had a bunch of defensive injuries, right? Like throughout early part of the year.
They had some in the defense early. The offensive line has been like the real problem too.
Oh yeah, they lost didn't they lose like 3 starters on O-line?
Jensen Wirfs is out right now. They lost a guy to retirement. Was that Kappa that retired or? And then, of course, the Bengals poached one of their linemen to protect Joey Burrow. And they lost Shaq Barrett this year, their edge rusher, and I think that's affected their defensive front.
Yeah. I just think all of those pieces were not one of them is a game changer for the team. It's like all those combined, it's really tough. Really tough
so I was talking to Kurt about this while we're still waiting for the McDonald's video. Because
I'm trying so hard.
No, it's okay. It's all right. You can't will it any longer. We were talking about because Perna, I haven't watched enough Broncos games, thank God. But I watched a few of the primetime games. But you've noticed in the games that you've streamed would have you a lot of these teams who are just throwing dump off passes, lines throwing behind the line of scrimmage and trying to make things work. It's kind of become a staple for a majority of offenses. And it just gets really monotonous and boring to watch. And kind of Kurt's take on that was it's something that is transformed of something you do every now and then to now being something that you're doing every single week.
Yeah. What I've noticed about that is other teams can execute those plays, and the Broncos, I believe, might be the worst screen running team, not just this year, but ever. I think we've had 2 successful screen passes work, and it feels like some teams that struggle to run the ball, they make up for it with quick passes, short passes. And Denver has not had a run game, and they have not executed the short passing game well. And that's a huge reason nothing else has worked for Russell Wilson in that offense, because if you can't do either of those things, teams know the only thing they have to really defend is the big play because they're beating you up front. So I watch my team not do it, and then I watch an opposing team come in and try to do it against the Broncos defense, and they're not successful. So it really has made for just bad viewing experiences for an entire 3.5 hour interval of watching.
I'm about to send you this link, Tom.
Let's go.
We're almost there. We're almost there.
We're almost there. Hold.
It's coming.
Hold. Brandon, because we'll play this and then we'll skedaddle. What do you got coming out today, buddy?
Well, I got my Jared Goff episode up yesterday, and then I think I should have a news video up today. Okay. I'm going to dive into that roughing the passer penalty from last night and all of the bad roughing the passer penalties this year. And the NFL apparently is looking to either possibly consider reviewing roughing or eject players for roughing.
Yeah, that's actually being talked about.
Different approach. It's should we try and get these calls right, or should we make it even worse and just eject players?
Dude, I can't wait for the first player to get ejected after touching Tom Brady's helmet. Just goes, whoop, eject. Just kick him out.
Yeah.
I say you start taking hands. Like, let's get real medieval in here. Like, let's start taking hands. You touch Tom Brady, done, gone. Sorry.
Eye for an eye.
Play with the club. Oh well.
That's bad. I sent you the link on Twitter and also I think via email. No, not email, just Twitter. And text.
Hold on. All right. Just Twitter. It says I need to request access.
Weird.
All right. I sent an email asking for approval.
Google. We're all just dying here.
We're gonna get this. I promise.
If
you email it to me, maybe you'll allow. Like, I just want to download it.
Ew. I think I gotta watch this.
I just want it.
I could also do this old school and just pull it up and show until it says videos processing. Like,
no, but that doesn't matter. As long as I get the link to it, I can download it immediately.
Okay, then you have the link. Did you get it from Twitter?
Yeah, I got it from Twitter and says I need to request access, and then it sent you an email. So you need to give my email access to it.
Okay, we're trying.
That's it.
I feel it too. I have so much pressure.
I don't think Kurt watches clickbait. It's okay. It's all right. Kurt, what's an NFL goal for you? There you
go. It is to go through next offseason, OTAs, preseason, and earn a chance to have a 53 spot. But
did you get the email of me asking for a request, or like, do you have to edit permissions for me to get it?
No, unfortunately.
Damn it.
I know, this is really frustrating. Manage access.
Yes. Give me access.
Tom
Grossi Comedy at gmail.com.
Grossi Comedy at gmail.com. Bam.
Boom.
Tom has been added.
Okay. Hold on.
Finally.
Hold.
Google.
Okay, hold on. I got it. Download. Just gotta download. Please hold. Download anyway. I don't care if it has
maybe play it without sound because I cannot confirm.
Oh, buddy, it's coming with the sound. So sorry.
All right, there it is.
All right, hold on. All right, I'm going to upload it right now. Hold on. Scrolling. Good God, we have so many video clips. We really need to clean this out, Perna.
I know.
Oh, wait a minute. It's a MOV doc. Oh my God. Freaking StreamYard doesn't take it. Hold on, Embo. I'm going to convert it right now.
No.
This is us on the tech side. The GPS tech team, baby.
I'm not gonna lie, I just watched the video. The only thing it doesn't have is us opening up the stash. But
all right, you know what?
See the
Screw
stash.
This. Hold on. I got this a different way. I'm not even gonna wait to convert it. I got this a different way. Please hold. Hold on. Settings. Nope, not what I want. We got this. You're so good.
We're techies.
Boom.
All right. The moment of truth. The locker room. The Chicago Bears.
The Chicago Bears. All right. I don't know if it's going to have sound, but.
Sponsored by Burger King. Oh, yeah.
Like literally just McMuffins, McChickens, just gross. So I thought I had the video of the actual product.
Did you hear that or no?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's funny because they're talking about chickens and stuff, and you're talking about how gross it smells.
Dude, no, like literally you open it up and it's like, it smacks you in the face. You can't get that through the video. It smacks you in the face and like, it was just rock hard. Like all the patties, all the stuff was just rock hard. Like it was not like someone had brought breakfast that morning and like just happened to leave it there. Like that shit had been in there for the longest time.
Years.
The room had absorbed the smell.
We can honestly, can you go back to that video for 1 second? We can probably fact check the packaging of like the style of like, do they still put things in that cart in that
1 second.
like, paper
I gotta
bags?
Get back to it. Hold on. Whoa, we got a fitty bomb. Hold on.
Boom.
Whoa now. Whoop. Inject fitty extension of Todd Bowles, but do you think Dennis Allen's a good head coach? Ooh. On top of that, who do you think will be the top dog of the South? Ooh, that's a good question. Because the Saints are another team they're up for elimination. They're struggling right now. Kurt, thoughts?
I don't want to answer that. I don't know enough about their whole situation or the coaches. I haven't watched many of their games this year, so I don't feel comfortable commenting on that.
All good. I think honestly the Panthers could be. a top contender. If their defense, they get a good franchise QB. All right, hon, we got this.
Okay.
North. Biscuits and sausage.
Like,
okay,
those bags with the yellow, like I haven't gone to McDonald's in years.
It's been a while.
But like, are any of our McDonald's people around that know when those bags were in use?
Like, those bags were from 1984.
Yellow handles on the bags.
Let's see.
Honestly, it's the internet. They probably can put it down to like the month that they were being used. By the way, I just downloaded the actual clip so we can get sound too, because it's worth it for the sound. Okay, hold on. I got you. It's uploading. Look at this. GPS. It took 25 minutes, but we eventually came through.
Oh my God, it really did take 20 minutes.
It did.
I have to pee so bad too.
You hold it, Brandon.
Someone said they look like delivery bags. So they look like Uber Eats-ish.
Oh, they still come in those bags. Okay, so there you go. Papusa knows. They still come in those bags, so. Ooh, what do other players think about the Packers as an organization? It's still processing up here.
It's a DoorDash exclusive. Did someone DoorDash McDonald's to that specific spot to leave it under there? That's my question.
Ooh.
Why would someone be DoorDashing to the stadium McDonald's?
All right, here you go. Look at this.
Cole, can you let me know what's in here? What do we have in here?
We got some biscuits and sausage.
Biscuits and sausage.
Unknown entities from McDonald's. And
This
smells like it's from the underworld.
Oh my God, this shit's been in here for years.
The Chicago Bears, everybody. The Chicago Bears.
There we go, Chicago.
Well, technically, but that's the thing. So you could look at the Bears for not cleaning it, but also the other visiting team never cleaned it up. And apparently it's stayed there for years.
My thing is, like, let's think of the thought process behind this. How did those bags end up under there, and who put them? Nobody puts food underneath a cabinet to just store it. You throw
What's
it away.
more concerning is
it is Uber Eats. It is Uber Eats, like we've confirmed.
Okay.
It's Uber Eats.
Like,
more concerning is like the Chicago Bears, whoever the personnel, whoever's going into those rooms, that smell was normal to them.
Yeah, they're just
They
like,
set off
oh, yeah,
an alarm. Like,
must
hey,
be a rat.
Something's off here, guys.
Dead mouse, rat.
Mouse
You know
rat.
what I mean? Urlacher forgot
It was
his punch years ago.
Urlacher.
But yeah, that is my moral of the story is there's a reason that those bags got specifically to that spot and were just there for at least probably a few months. And why weren't they thrown away? Like,
That's a lot of food left in there. It feels like it was ordered maybe by a visiting team, and
how did they get McDonald's to the stadium? Like everybody,
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like that doesn't
Maybe one. I don't know.
That's the real question. That's what we're going to figure out next week.
Maybe they're hiding them because they weren't supposed to order them. It was like
Ooh.
the team's like, "Ooh, we want
like
some
you
McDonald's
you need a
today."
McChicken? Like
Yeah.
They start selling them for like $50 a pop.
It had to be a defensive or offensive lineman ordering all that shit too. We know for sure.
That's amazing.
Kurt, buddy, what do you got coming out? Where can people find you, my friend?
Yeah, just would appreciate all the support on YouTube. The channel that we're live streaming this through right now, for the uploads is going to be a family channel. Going to be doing just kind of behind the scenes of what does life look like, but still going to be using it for these segments. So just go show some love on the old YouTube at the Ben Kurtz.
At the Trump NFTs. Yeah, Perna, you got a news thing coming out today? You got the Jared Goff episode that came out?
Yeah, the Goffense. It's clicking. Mr. Underappreciated right now, Jared Goff. Check
There
it.
you go. Nailed it. Tonight, instead of the Q&A, there will be the 400K stream because we hitting it today, baby. We are hitting it today. 7:30. Also going to put out another video because people have been asking me about how the Packers can make the playoffs. Putting that video out, recorded right before GPS. And then tomorrow, you can see all three of us at various times, meet the entire time, sorry, for the 8-hour fundraiser starting at 4 p.m. all the way to midnight. We'll be there raising money for Friends of Animals. Going to be a fantastic day. Lots of guests, lots of good times.
Boom.
We're going to rock and roll, baby.
Nailed it.
Amazing.
But Kurt, a big shout and thank you to you for coming on.
Yes,
We
thank you,
appreciate
Kurt.
having
Thank
you as
you.
always.
Absolutely.
Folks, make sure you check out Kurt Ben Kurt, like the Twitch and all the things that he's got going on. But folks, thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. That's Kurt Benkert. That's Brandon Perna. And this is GPS. And you have been navigated. And you've reached your destination.